Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Book 6, Unit 5 Vocabulary Presentation, Part 1. The volume up just in case. So, without further ado, let's get started. So, first off, a breakthrough. Noun, an important, new discovery. Again, a breakthrough is a noun, and it means an important new discovery. An example sentence using a breakthrough. For example, I was having difficulty writing a paper, but then I had a breakthrough and finished my paper. I was having difficulty writing a paper, but then I had a breakthrough and I was able to finish it. Another example, there has been an important medical breakthrough in the search for a cure. Again, there has been an important medical breakthrough in the search for a cure. Okay, those are the examples for as a noun. And again, we know it's noun because we have the article. Are there any other word forms for breakthrough? Any other word forms? That's right. We can use breakthrough as a verb, breakthrough. So for example, in the picture, the man is breaking through a wall. He is breaking through the wall on the way to success. Another example, the enemy is trying to break through our lines. Defend your positions. The enemy is trying to break through our lines. Defend your positions. A decade. Noun, a period of 10 years. A decade is a noun, is a period of 10 years. So we have the 1950s, 1950 to 1959, 1960 to 1969, 1970 to 79, 1980 to 1989. So we have the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, and 80s. Those are all the names of the decade. Okay. Another example might be, Tom lived in Hong Kong for a decade. He saw a lot of things in 10 years. Tom lived in Hong Kong for a decade. He saw a lot of things in those years. Another example, the year 2000 is now 2 decades into the past. The year 2000 is now 2 decades into the past. 2 decades equals, that's right, 20 years. 2020, 2000 equals 2 decades. An ordeal. Noun means suffering or to be in trouble. Suffering or to be in trouble. Okay. And you can see right here, this woman, she appears to be suffering. She's in trouble. So she's going through an ordeal. She's going through an ordeal. For example, it took 24 hours to get from Canada to Saudi Arabia. It was such an ordeal. It took 24 hours to get from Canada to Saudi Arabia. It was such an ordeal. Okay, and more simply, an ordeal is what kind of experience? An ordeal is a bad experience. Awesome. Adjective, extremely impressive or inspiring awe. Again, awesome, it's an adjective, and it means extremely impressive or inspiring awe. Okay, and an example using awe as an adjective might be, those trees are awesome. Those trees are awesome. They are redwoods. They are redwoods. They are awesome, tall trees. Now, are there any other word forms of awesome? Can we change awesome to any other word forms? Yes, we can. First off, we can add ly. Just like we see here, extreme is the adjective, and we add ly to make it an adverb, and we do the same thing with awesome, so awesomely. For example, Liverpool have played awesomely well this season, but I hope they lose. Liverpool have played awesomely well this season, but I hope they don't win. I'm a Manchester United supporter, of course. And are there any other word forms? Are there any other word forms for awesome? Yes, there is the verb awe. Awe. For example, they were both awed by the vastness of the Amazon. They were both awed by the vastness of the Amazon. And are there any other word forms we could think of for awesome? That's right, there's one more. There is awe again, but as a noun. So, for example, the climbers stared in awe at how tall Mount Everest is. For example, again, as a noun, awe. The climbers stared in awe at how tall Mount Everest is. To break one's heart. Verb, to cause emotional pain. Again, to break someone's heart, so verb, it means to cause emotional pain. So, for example, she is going to break his heart when she tells him the bad news. She is going to break his heart when she tells him the bad news. Are there any word forms or any other tenses we can change it to? That's right. For example, he is heartbroken. A family member died today. He is heartbroken. A family member died today. And we can use it in the progressive. The news right now is heartbreaking. So many hot issues, so many sad things to read about. Again, the news right now is heartbreaking. There are so many hot issues in the news. It's hard to keep up. And last one, the base form, heartbreak. Heartbreak is never a pleasant experience. It always hurts. Okay, to catch on. Verb, phrasal verb, means to understand. Again, to catch on is a phrasal verb, and it just means to understand. For example, ultimate frisbee is an exciting sport. I hope it catches on in Saudi Arabia. Again, ultimate frisbee is an exciting sport. I hope it catches on in Saudi Arabia. And the second example, I caught on to what it was the guy was saying. I caught on to what the guy was saying. At first I didn't understand, but then I caught on to what the guy was saying, to what he was really saying. Chilly. Adjective. Uncomfortably or unpleasantly cold. Again, chilly, adjective, means uncomfortably or unpleasantly cold. For example, it is chilly outside. You should wear a sweater. It is chilly outside. You should wear a sweater. So, how is the air? I am describing it as chilly, using it as an adjective. And are there any other word forms we can use for Chilled, well, there is one main one. Chilled. For example, I like my drinks chilled with ice. Chilled. I like my drinks chilled with ice. Cold. Adjective, very unfriendly. Cold, adjective, it means very unfriendly. So for example, the students gave Ali cold looks. They did not trust him. The students gave Ali cold looks. They did not trust him. We can also think of cold in a sad or depressing light, or depressing way. So for example, a cold light streamed through the window. A cold light streamed through the window. Okay, and are there any other word forms we could think of? Well, there is also the adverb coldly. We can use the adverb coldly, but that's not one that we're focusing on for this unit. And conscientious. Conscientious is an adjective. It means careful to do everything that is in your job or duty. Conscientious. Adjective, careful to do everything that is in your job or duty. For example, the medic is conscientious of his patient's injuries and tries to carry him without hurting him. The medic is conscientious of the soldier he is carrying and is trying not to hurt him. Okay. And there are no other word forms, it's just adjective form conscientious that we're focusing on this unit. Okay, to delve into is another phrasal verb. How do we know when it's a phrasal verb? Well, a phrasal verb is usually a main verb that is accompanied by typically, in this case, a preposition. So this will be a prepositional phrasal verb. This will be a prepositional phrasal verb because it has the verb as well as preposition. So again, to delve into is a prepositional phrasal verb, and it means to search for more information about someone or something. It just means to search for more information about someone or something. So to delve into the information, you go to places like a library to do the research. For example, to write a research paper, you need to delve into lots of information. You need to read lots of books. Or another example, before joining a debate, you should delve into the information to inform yourself on the issue. Again, to write a research paper, you need to delve into lots of information. And before joining a debate, you should delve into the information to inform yourself on the issue. Disparate. Disparate. Adjective, it just means different, not able to be compared. Again, disparate as an adjective, that just means different, not able to be compared. So, as you can see in our solar system, the planets are all very different and not able to be compared. So, for example, our solar system is full of disparate planets. Our solar system is full of disparate planets. You could also say that, for example, the world is full of unique and disparate cultures. The world is full of unique and disparate cultures. You can't compare the cultures, they're all unique. Emphatic. Adjective, done in a strong way to show importance. Done in a strong way. Emphatic is an adjective and it means done something is done in a strong way to show importance. For example, the opera finished with an emphatic ending. So usually when an opera finishes, it finishes with the fat lady singing. The expression is, it's not over until the fat lady sings, which is an emphatic way to end an opera. So that was an example for the adjective form. Are there any other word forms we can think of for emphatic? Yep, that's right. There's also the noun. For example, many students put an emphasis on studying for writing and speaking tests. The noun, many students put an emphasis on studying for the writing and speaking tests, and then they don't focus too much on the listening and grammar skills. Any other word forms besides the adjective emphatic, the noun emphasis? That's right, we have adverb. We have the adverb emphatically. Emphatically. For example, our boss finished the meeting emphatically by pounding the table. Our boss finished the meeting emphatically by hitting the table. And the last word form for emphatic, the verb emphasize. Emphasize. For example, in a debate, you can emphasize your point by repeating it. Emphasize, verb. In a debate, you can emphasize your point by repeating it. Fascinating. Adjective, very interesting. Fascinating. Adjective, very interesting. For example, I think predictions about the future are fascinating. I think predictions about the future are fascinating. Do we have any other word forms for fascinating? That's right, we have the base. What is the base form of fascinating? Fascination, the noun, fascination. He had a fascination for learning new languages. He had a fascination for learning new languages. And the verb form? Fascinate, fascinate. And in the case, I've always been fascinated by other cultures. So again, we're changing it into the present perfect. I've always been fascinated by other cultures. And the adverb, fascinatingly. Fascinatingly. For example, she talked fascinatingly about the research she's done for her book. She talked fascinatingly about the research she's done for her book. Genuinely. Adverb, truly in a truthful way. Again, genuinely is the adverb, and it means truly in a truthful way or an authentic way, be a better way of saying it. Genuine, authentic, real, not fake or put on for show. Okay? For example, I am genuinely sorry for hurting you. I am genuinely sorry for hurting you. I want to apologize. And are there another example? So that's the adverb, genuinely. Do we have an adjective form? That's right. We drop the ly and we have genuine. For example, a good sushi knife is made of genuine titanium. A good sushi knife is made of genuine titanium. To have one's nose to the grindstone. Phrasal verb, to keep working very hard. To have one's nose to the grindstone. Verb, to keep working very hard. For example, you could say, my teacher has me working with my nose to the grindstone. My teacher has me working with my nose to the grindstone. Or another example, she has her nose to the grindstone. She is studying for a test tomorrow. She has her nose to the grindstone. She is studying for a test tomorrow. So again, grindstone just means to be working very hard. Immeasurably. Adverb, incredibly. Being so extreme that it can't be measured. Almost infinite. Almost infinite or infinite in itself. Such as the universe. So immeasurably is an adverb and it means incredibly, being so extreme that it can't be measured. So, for example, the universe is immeasurably vast. The universe is immeasurably vast. And again, here you can see we know it's an adverb, or a good sign that it's an adverb because it has ly. That means if we drop the ly and add e, we have the adjective form immeasurable. If we drop the ly, add e, we have the adjective immeasurable. For example, Jeff Bezos has almost immeasurable wealth. Jeff Bezos has almost immeasurable wealth. Impulsive. Adjective, doing things quickly without thinking. Impulsive is an adjective and it just means doing things quickly without thinking. For example, they married when they were impulsive teenagers. They married young when they were impulsive teenagers. They got married without thinking. They were impulsive. And again, we can, is there a word form? That's right. We can make impulsive to the adverb impulsively. Impulsively. For example, try to keep calm and don't act impulsively. Don't act impulsively and cut your hair. Don't act impulsively and cut your hair. So again, the two word forms were the adjective impulsive and the adverb impulsively. Inevitably. Inevitably. Adverb, as one would expect. Unable to be avoided. Inevitably. Adverb, as one would expect. Unable to be avoided. For example, inevitably, we all die one day. Inevitably, we all die one day. And what do we notice here? We have ly. That means we can, that's right, take off the ly, change to e, and we have the adjective inevitable. Inevitable. For example, after Omar didn't pay back the loan, he received the inevitable letter from the bank telling him they were taking the house back. Again, after Omar didn't pay back the loan, he received the inevitable letter from the bank telling him they were taking the house back. If you don't pay for something, inevitably, it will come back and bite you. Insufferable. adjective, annoying or bothersome. Insufferable, adjective, annoying or bothersome. So for example, every class has an insufferable classmate. Example, every class has an insufferable classmate. There's always one student who's annoying. And insufferable, if we drop the E and add ly, what do we get? That's right, we get the adverb form immeasurably. Immeasurably. For example, the weather is, insufferably. Think back to the last slide. The weather is insufferably hot in the summer in Saudi Arabia, right? In Saudi Arabia, the weather is insufferably hot in the summer in Saudi Arabia. It's so hot, you can't suffer it. It's not something you can live with. You got to get out of the heat. So, insufferable, adjective, and insufferably, adverb. To know what someone is getting into. Phrasal verb, again, we can see it's a prepositional phrasing verb, getting into. To understand the results of someone's action. Again, to know what someone is getting into is a prepositional verb, phrasal verb, and it means to understand the results of someone's action. For example, if you start smoking, you better know what you're getting into. Smoking can kill you. If you start smoking, you better know what you're getting into. Smoking can kill you. Another example, by breaking the law, I hope you know what you're getting into. Trouble with the police. If you break the law, I hope you know what you're getting into. You're getting into trouble with the police. So to know what you're getting into just understands that there will be consequences for your actions. Light a fire under someone. To make someone take action. To light a fire on someone is another phrasal verb, prepositional phrasal verb, to make someone take action. Of course, it does not mean literally, it's just an expression. It just means to just give them a situation where they have to react. They have to get out and do something. For example, if you light a fire under someone, they must act quickly. If you light a fire under someone, they must act quickly. Or another example, my father lit a fire under my brother and told him to get a job or move out. He quickly found a new job. Again, my father lit a fire under my brother and told him to get a job or move out. He quickly found a new job. So someone was given an option, move out or get a job, and he was forced into getting a new job. He wanted to stay. Longevity. Longevity. Noun, the length of a person's life. Longevity, the length of a person's life, or also just the quality of lasting for a length of time. Longevity can also mean more genuinely or more commonly just the quality of being able to last a long time. For example, Sir Alex Ferguson had great longevity. Sir Alex Ferguson had great longevity. He was the manager of Manchester United for over 20 years. Again, Sir Alex Ferguson had great longevity. He was the manager of Manchester United for over 20 years. So, longevity can just mean a length of time. Okay, another example, to be a pro athlete, you must have the longevity to train full-time for years. To lose it. Verb, to no longer make sense, to lose mental clarity. Again, to lose it is another phrasal verb, and it means to no longer make sense, to lose mental clarity. So, for example, if the lockdown is extended, I'm going to lose it. If the lockdown is extended, I'm going to lose it. I'm going to lose my mental clarity if the lockdown is extended. Another example, when dealing with customers, you can't lose it. You must remain calm. When dealing with customers, you can't lose it. You must remain calm. To never look back. Another phrasal verb, to have no regrets. To look back, phrasal verb, to have no regrets. For example, after I finished university, I never looked back. I was happy to be finished. After university, I never looked back. I was happy to be finished. Or, another example, Salman quit his job and never looked back. He started his own company. Salman quit his job and never looked back. He started his own company. They have no regrets. To never look back means to have no regrets. Overwhelmed. Adjective, a feeling that something is too difficult to continue. Again, overwhelmed is an adjective, and it means a feeling that something is too difficult to continue. So, for example, it is normal to feel overwhelmed in university. Just take a breath and carry on. Again, it is normal to feel overwhelmed in university. Just take a breath and carry on. Or another example, some students feel overwhelmed by the study load in their first year. Some students feel overwhelmed by the amount of studying they need to do in their first year. Persistent. Adjective, continuing to do something even though it is difficult. Again, persistent is an adjective, and it means continuing to do something even though it is difficult. For example, persistent people go far in life because they keep trying. Persistent people go far in life because they don't give up. Another example, in hard times, this is the verb form persist. In hard times, we must persist, not give up. In hard times, we must persist, not give up. So for this unit, we're only looking at the adjective form persistent and the verb persist. Presumptuous. Adjective, rude or arrogant. Again, presumptuous is an adjective, and it means rude or arrogant. For example, it is presumptuous to assume everybody agrees with you. It is presumptuous to think that everybody is going to like you. And is there another form? Yep, there is. Presume. We drop this and add the E to form presume, which is the verb, correct? For example, don't presume it is okay to smoke near people. Ask them first. Don't presume it is okay to smoke near people. Ask them first. And one more form that we're going to give an example for, presumption. Noun, presumption. For example, the presumption of guilt has changed to a presumption of innocence. The presumption of guilt has changed to a presumption of innocence. So in the old days, if you broke the law, they presumed you were guilty, but now they presume you are innocent until you are proven guilty. Prudent. Adjective, sensible and careful. Again, prudent, adjective, sensible and careful. For example, it is prudent to lock your door when you leave home. It is prudent to lock your door when you go home. And another example, it is prudent to save money in times of certainty. It is prudent to save money in times of uncertainty, such as now. Punctually. Adverb, being on time. Punctually. Adverb, being on time. For example, most students arrive punctually. Again, most students arrive punctually. Only some show up late. And the adjective punctual, punctual. Be like Frank. He is punctual. He arrives on time. Be like Frank. He is punctual. He arrives to work on time. To put up with. Again, it's another prepositional phrasal verb. To tolerate. To put up with means to tolerate. For example, if you work in retail, you have to put up with a lot of abuse from customers. If you work in retail, you have to put up with a lot of abuse from customers. Or another example, I'm too tired to put up with any nonsense. I'm too tired to tolerate any more nonsense. I'm too tired to put up with any more nonsense. Radically. Adverb, extremely, in a significant way. Again, radically, adverb, extremely, in a significant way. For example, some people think the world is flat. They have a radically different view of reality than most people. Again, some people think the world is flat. They have a radically different view of reality than most people. And are there any other word forms? That's right, we can change radically to radical. Drop the ly, keep the last L. Drop the ly and have radical as an adjective. And we have an example sentence. We need radical solutions because the problems are becoming too much to handle. We need radical solutions because the problems are becoming too much to handle. So the word forms we are concerned about are radically, adverb, and radical, adjective. To be set in one's ways means to resist change. To be set in one's ways is another phrasal verb, and it means to resist, to not want to change, to try and stop changing. For example, some people are set in their ways and are resistant to change. Some people are set in their ways and are resistant to change. Another example, if you are set in your ways, like being a smoker, it can be hard to change. If you are set in your ways, like being a smoker, being addicted to smoking, it can be hard to change. It can be hard to give up. To set the parameters. Another phrase, verb. And it means to determine the boundaries or limits. To set the parameters, verb expression, and it means to determine the boundaries or limits. For example, when you start a business, you need to set the parameters for your partners in business. When you start a business, you need to set the parameters for your partners in business. Another example, my doctor clearly set the parameters of what I can and cannot do right now. My doctor clearly set the parameters of what I can and cannot do right now. Simultaneously. Adverb, two or more things happening at the same time. Again, simultaneously. Adverb, two or more things happening at the same time. For example, the news report was simultaneously broadcasted all over the world. The news report was simultaneously broadcast all over the world. And if you notice, we have the adverb simultaneously. If we drop the ly, what do we get? We get the adjective simultaneous. Simultaneous. For example, there will be a simultaneous withdrawal of troops on both sides. There will be a simultaneous withdrawal of all troops on both sides. So simultaneously and simultaneous just means two or more things happening at the same time. To stick with it. Verb, to continue to say or do something without giving up. Again, to stick with it is the verb, and it means to continue to say or do something without giving up. For example, when something is hard, like learning a new language, it is important to stick to it and keep trying to get better. Again, when something is hard, like learning a new language, it is important to stick to it and keep trying to get better. Another example, if you practice something and stick to it, over time you will improve. If you practice something and stick with it over time, you will improve. Thrive. Verb, to become very successful or very strong and healthy. To thrive is a verb, and it means to become very successful or very strong and healthy. For example, exotic animals thrive in the wild. They should not be pets. Exotic animals thrive in the wild. They should not be pets. Another example, we live in a thriving neighborhood. There is always lots of things to do. We live in a thriving neighborhood. There is always lots to do. Tolerable. Adjective, something that isn't enjoyable but can be accepted. Tolerable. Adjective, something that isn't enjoyable but can be accepted. So, for example, you can see in a picture, in a relationship, don't tolerate cheating, disrespect, jealousy, or abuse. Again, this is not me who made this presentation. This is another teacher, just to be clear. In the relationship, never tolerate cheating, disrespect, jealousy, or abuse. For example, cheating is never tolerable in a relationship or marriage. And we can have the verb tolerate. Tolerate. I can't tolerate rude people. I try to avoid them. I can't tolerate rude people. I try to avoid them. And the noun tolerance. Tolerance. We should show tolerance and understanding to new people in our community. We should show tolerance and understanding to new people in our community. To tug at someone. Verb, to bother, weighing on someone's mind. Again, to tug at someone is a verb, and it means to bother, or just general sense of being weighed down by something on your mind. So, for example, I have a research paper due next week, and it keeps tugging at the back of my mind that I need to finish it. I have a big research paper due next week, and it keeps tugging at the back of my mind that I need to finish it. Another example, if you are in debt, you may feel it tug at your mind and make you feel guilty or sad. If you're in debt, you may feel it tugging at your mind and making you feel guilty or sad. Ultimately. Adverb, in the end. Ultimately. Adverb, in the end. For example, ultimately, there will be light at the end of the tunnel. Ultimately, there will be light at the end of the tunnel. And again, we can see here that if we just take off the ly, we have the adjective, oops, sorry about that, ultimate. Ultimate. For example, Tony Stark gave the ultimate sacrifice of his life to save the planet from Thanos. Tony Stark gave the ultimate sacrifice of his life to save the planet from Thanos. So the two forms are ultimately adverb and adjective ultimate. Vigorous. Adjective, energetic, using a lot of energy or strength. Vigorous, adjective, energetic, using a lot of energy and strength. For example, you should be getting 75 to 100 minutes per week of vigorous exercise. You should be getting 75 minutes to 100 minutes per week of vigorous exercise. And are there any word forms? Yep, we can add ly, vigorously. And an example for vigorously would be, he shook the bottle vigorously, and when he opened it, it spilled on the floor. The Coca-Cola spilled on the floor. He shook the can of Coke vigorously, and when he opened it, it sprayed everywhere. He shook the bottle vigorously, and it sprayed everywhere when he opened it. Is there a verb form? Is there a verb form for vigorous? That's right, there is. It is invigorate. Invigorate, to give you more energy. For example, exercise can invigorate you and give you energy. Exercise can invigorate you and give you energy. To work someone to death. It's an idiom. To work excessively hard and long. To work someone to death. Idiom. To work excessively hard and long. For example, in World War II, prisoners of war as you can see in these pictures. Again, remember that the other teacher made it. In World War II, many prisoners of war in Asia were made to work to death by the Japanese. In World War II, many prisoners of war in Asia who were captured were made to work to death by the Japanese. Another example here, we can see they're building a bridge, the famous bridge over the River Kwai. Many prisoners of war were worked to death building the bridge over the River Kwai. Many prisoners of war were worked to death building the bridge over the River Kwai. Worrisome. Adjective, something that causes worry or concern. For example, these are worrisome times. We don't know what the future holds. These are worrisome times. We don't know what the future holds. And as there are two forms of adjective for worrisome, the other form would be worried. Worried. For example, this couple looks worried. They need help. This couple looks worried. They need help. And we can find that worrisome can also be used as a verb in the sense of worry. Worry is the verb form. Try not to worry about things you can't control. Try not to worry about things you can't control. And again, the noun, a worry. A worry. For example, they are in constant worry. They don't know where their next meal will be. They are in constant worry. They don't know where their next meal will be. So again, the word forms were adjective worrisome, secondary adjective worried, verb worry, and the noun a worry. And that brings us to the end of the Book 6, Unit 5, Vocabulary 1, Presentation, Part 1. So I hope you learned a bit from this topic, and I will catch you around on the next video. Thank you very much, and goodbye.